Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of these Facebook Lives that I do. I do them every other Sunday, although I actually think I'm going to change the day of the week. So if you have a preference for the day of the week, let me know. I am Dr. Stephanie Shuttler. I am a wildlife biologist. I have been in this field for close to 20 years now. I can't believe it's been that long. And I do these lives as an opportunity for me to give you some career advice, but also this is an opportunity for you to ask any questions that you have as well. So while I am talking about this topic, you are more than welcome to comment with any question that you have related to wildlife biology careers, even if it's not related to the direct topic that we're talking about for this evening. So tonight's topic is one, I actually did not get asked this question, but it's something that I decided to choose because of students' responses to or comments that they've made about this topic. So basically, there are these Facebook groups. There's two major groups. There's the Wildlife Science Career Network and the Wildlife Workers Network. I believe those are the two names. These are two really large Facebook groups. So in each group, I think there's somewhere between 10,000 to 15,000 people in the group. And it's really common for people to post questions asking advice. And some of these questions are just so generic. Others are really specific. So some people like tell their life story and they want to know, okay, like what should I do next in this situation? So I got my degree or I'm applying for this job and blah, blah, blah. And they'll ask very specific questions. Other people will ask, like I'm interested in a career in conservation biology. What should I do next? So I want to talk about the Facebook groups for two reasons. For one reason I want to talk about this is when you're posting questions and getting answers or reading other people's questions and answers, I want you to think about and analyze who's responding them. So that's one thing I want you to think about. The other thing that I recommend that you think about, or the other reason why I decided to do this Facebook, Instagram Live, is because people get really freaked out by these groups. I actually have a screenshot of somebody's comments on these group, and it's along the lines of, this group has me freaked out or really scared about this career because so many people comment that they are struggling to get a job or that they've applied for hundreds of jobs and they're not getting any interviews or they're not getting any jobs, or that they're in debt, or that they are thinking about doing this program but it's $30,000. Or that they've paid for an experience and they're in debt for that. I talked to Stephanie Martin for my podcast. She is a conservation biology YouTuber and Instagram blogger, and she paid thousands of dollars to do a paid experience and get some experience to do an internship. I talked to Ashley Scarlett. She has the Mindful Conservation podcast. And she's done the same thing. She went to debt to pay for experience. So it's not uncommon. So there's a lot of complaints about people who are in debt and not getting what they wanted out of that experience. So they're not getting jobs to pay off for that experience. Or also, if you get jobs, they don't pay that well. So So basically, there's people who are unhappy and posting that they're unhappy. So these are the two different things that I want to talk about. So let's talk about the second thing first. Okay. So should you be freaked out by what people say in the Facebook groups? And I wanted to say, take what the people say in Facebook groups with a grain of salt. Because the people who are going to be posting in the Facebook groups, for the most part, are going to be people who are not happy in their careers, or they're going to be people who are looking for jobs, unemployed. If you have a great job, if you are busy at your job, you're happily employed, it's really unlikely that you're going to be checking these groups a lot, because these groups are really, they're heavily biased towards people searching for jobs. So you're going to get a lot of what we call negativity bias from these groups. I worked in social science, and you have to be really careful about how you gather data, because there's biases associated with every single data. So basically, again, if you're really happy, or even if you're doing fine, if you're just like applying for jobs and you're getting some interviews, it's really unlikely that you're going to be commenting and posting these jobs. It's kind of like a Google review. You're either going to comment or do a Google review if you are like super duper happy with a place, or if you're really upset, if you're really frustrated with the product or the restaurant or whatever, you're going to go home and you are going to complain about it. So you're going to have this negativity bias. So before you, don't let the Facebook groups deter you. Don't let the Facebook, if this is something you really want to do, yes, it's competitive. Yes, you do have to position yourself and get experience and everything. And it is tough out there. That's definitely true. But if this is really what you want to do, don't let these Facebook groups deter you, because like I mentioned, they are skewed towards the negative. Okay. So, and there are people on the groups who are good people. Like there's a couple of professors that I know, they provide some really helpful advice to people. So there are exceptions to the rules of people who are commenting, who are happy in their jobs, and just genuinely good people really helping other people out. So the first thing is the negativity bias. Don't let those people upset you. With that and the competition factor, you don't know why those people aren't getting jobs. So one way to interpret that is that there's a lot of competition and that these people are experienced and they're not getting jobs, or they're applying for hundreds of jobs a year. I've heard that. I've seen that in the group, that I'm applying for hundreds of jobs a year and I got nothing, or I got like one interview. So you don't know these people's experience. You don't know if they're applying for the right jobs, because as I mentioned, it is competitive. So if you're applying for hundreds of jobs, chances are, I'm going to say this, not chances are, it definitely is true, you're not qualified for all of those jobs. So if you're applying for hundreds of jobs, you might as well just throw some of your applications in the trash, because you're not qualified for them. So you need to pick and choose what jobs you're most competitive for. Knowing that is part of the process. So that's a big reason, again, why people aren't getting the results. So you don't know what kind of jobs they're applying for. You also don't know what their resumes look like, what their cover letters look like. That's also really important as well, because just because you're not getting jobs doesn't mean that, it's too competitive and you can't, and no one can get any jobs. You just might have a crappy resume and cover letter. And that's really common, honestly. Students send me their resumes and cover letters, and there's just so much to improve upon. And if you want some help, you can go to my website, fancyscientist.com, and go to, at the top, there's resume cover letters help. I give you my top do's and don'ts that are really, really helpful. If you're just joining us, I want to remind you that you can ask any question you want. So if you want to comment, go ahead and do so. I check the comments, and I'm happy to answer any other questions that you have. Okay, so negativity bias, and you don't know what their applications look like. And then the other thing I wanted to bring back is to the beginning. I think it's really important to pay attention to the question. Okay, questions you're asking and the people you're getting advice from. When you ask a question and you get let me do the second one first. For some reason, I'm doing the second one first all the time today. So when you get an answer, you want to look at who that advice is coming from. So look at the Facebook profile that it's coming from. Is that person in a job? Are they established? How long have they been in this field? And you can infer some of this information from, or you can look at it directly from their profile. Some of it you may have to infer, like you might have to see, are they an older individual? Then you could then that would suggest they've been in this field for a long time. But I wouldn't take advice from people who are in school. They haven't been out on the job market. And that's even true for graduate students. I really wouldn't take advice from graduate students because unless they did a master's and then they went back to do a PhD, they haven't had the chance to really play out on the job market and see how their experience or see how the advice that they would give plays out. So here's an example. People all the time say, for choosing your research project, they say you should follow your passion. I disagree with this 100% because your passion might not get you a job. Now, if your passion aligns with the type of job that you want, then yes, absolutely go for it. But a lot of people want to do animal behavior. There's not a lot of jobs in animal behavior outside of academia. So if you want to be an academic, great, go for it. Follow your passion. But if you don't want to be an academic, then I would really think about, okay, what is the job that you want? And then do the type of research that will get you the job that you want. So pay attention to who you're getting advice from. And then also pay attention to the questions you're asking. Like a lot of people are asking, like, what should I do next? So yeah, there is some like general advice that you can give, but like do some soul searching and think about like, what do you really want? And when you think about what you really want, think about what your end goal is. Like, what kind of job do you ultimately want? Because if you ask for advice for a wildlife biology job, honestly, the advice I give you can differ based on if that job is for a nonprofit, if it is for a government job, even if it's for a state or federal government job. There's going to be different things. There's going to be different levels of advice that will help you, or different pieces of advice that will help you. So for a state government job, you might need a master's degree and not a PhD. For a federal job, it might be better to have a PhD. So when you ask these questions, I want you to think about how you're wording them too. And again, connect with yourself, do your research about the jobs. I have the job tracker on my website that is also very helpful. It's a spreadsheet for you to organize your jobs so that you can actually look at the jobs that you want now, or that you want for the future now. And then while you're going through this learning process, make sure that you get the skills and experiences that you need. I say this over and over again. You've probably heard me say this a million times in a bunch of my different lives. So to summarize, don't freak out, because the people who are both posting are the ones who are unhappy not getting jobs. You don't know why they're not getting jobs. It could just be something like their resume is not good, their cover letter is not good, they don't have the right experience. There could be a million reasons why they are not getting those jobs. So don't let their experience color yours. And if this is a field, if this is a career that you really want to do, you can absolutely go for it. You absolutely should go for it. There are lots of great jobs out there. You just need to know where you fit. That's the way that you'll become most competitive, by figuring out where you fit and then getting the exact skills and experience that you need to get that. And then the last thing is really pay attention to who you are taking advice from. Look at their Facebook profile, see if they have a permanent job, see how long, if you can tell, they've been in this field. You want to take advice from people who have been in this field, who have gotten jobs. And actually, I should say one more thing about that. You want to be careful taking advice from people who have been in the field too long. Like, I listened to Ecology's podcast, and they had a scientist who got their PhD in the 70s, and he was giving advice. And the advice that he was giving, in my experience, was not good advice, because it was good advice for like when you were looking for jobs in the 80s and 90s, but not anymore. Things have changed dramatically. So to try to get advice from people who have recently landed jobs or have been in jobs for a couple of years, because their experience is going to most closely match what is going on now. Yes, yes. Cactus Coal Creations. She's another wildlife biologist. She gives great advice too, and she said the same thing about that Ologies podcast. And this isn't to say that any person who's been in this field for a long time won't give good advice. Like for faculty, a lot of times they're on search committees, so they know what they're looking for new professors, so they might have an idea. But if they're pulling off their direct experience, again, like what they did years and years ago is not necessarily going to apply today. Okay, so that's what's going on tonight. Hello, thank you for joining. But I am closing up unless anyone has some questions. I am happy to answer them now. And if you have some questions after I end this live, go ahead and send me a DM, and I'm happy to do another live on those questions. So thanks, guys, for watching, and I hope you guys have a fantastic week. Bye.